Here's a quick intro to assignment 7 on geolocation. This assignment's a little more complicated than previous ones, so we'll see if this video can help you. So basically, I want you to download the project that's attached here, the assignment 6 geolocation start file. The numbering might say it should say assignment 7 geolocation start. So hopefully that'll be changed. But either one, they're the same. So download the file that's attached here. And then we're going to open it up in BlueJ. So in BlueJ, you should see this. There should be 3 classes here. So the user interface class, the Google Maps class, and the geolocation class. These first 2 classes you don't modify. So let's just look at these 2. So this class you shouldn't modify, and this class you shouldn't. So let's just look at that. So I'll show you what's kind of taking place in these classes. So this first class is the interface. It creates a one of these Google Map locators, and this will be an interface to Google Maps. But to do that, we need to pass a location back and forth. So we're also going to create a geolocation object, and this is what you're going to be working on. Finally, we ask the user for some input. So we ask the user, what do you want to find on the map? So this is a simple interface like on your cell phone. You bring up maps and you type in, I want to find the College of St. Scholastica. And then so you just enter that. We read that into a string. So we're using next line to read in a whole string with spaces. Store that in this user input variable. And then we created a map locator, and again, you don't have to worry too much about this part. And it has a find method. You'll search Google Maps for this input and return a geolocation. And again, we don't have to worry too much about this. You're just going to focus on this. But I just want to explain to you quickly what this is doing. It should return a geolocation. And with that geolocation, we're going to call that geolocation should have a name and an address and latitude and longitude. So we're going to print those things out. So we're going to say found place, which is a geolocation, .get name, and found place.get address, found place.get longitude, and get latitude to print out the location we found. Now the Google Map Locator is another class you don't have to change. Don't modify this. It includes some complicated things with XML and web stuff that and defines some constants here, and connects up to the Google Map Location API. And again, we don't have to go over this. We build what's called an XML document. We get the XML document from the search string, and then we're going to parse that XML document and find out the latitude, longitude, latitude, address, and names that's encoded in this XML result string that we get back. And then we're actually going to create a geolocation object, and we're going to call set address and set name. And then when we call the constructor, we're actually going to specify the new latitude and longitude. So we call some things in this geolocation method. And that's the one you're going to want to modify. So right now, when we compile this, we'll get a number of errors. So let's say I try to compile this one. It'll give me an error saying get address not found. And because and then again, if I try to compile this one, it'll say this constructor where I specify a latitude and a longitude is not found. Because this is what your job will be in geolocation. And if I open that up here, so this is a class. It stores 4 things: name of a location and address, those are both strings, and the latitude and longitude of that location, which are both floating point numbers, doubles. Okay. And then you're going to have to define these classes. So we need to define a constructor here. And a constructor is a method with the same name as geolocation, as the object geolocation here. It should have 2 parameters. And if you look at the comments here, here's the 2 parameters, a latitude and a longitude. And these will be floating point numbers, and you'll want to store the passed in latitude and longitude into these latitude and longitude. So we need to define this constructor. Now, a good thing to look at is the learning exercise in this week. So you may want to go back and look at your die class here and see some things there. That has a two constructors. One of them has a parameter. So look at how this parameter is, the constructor is called the same name as the object, and we're given a parameter here, and then we're storing that. So look at how that constructor is set up, and try to program this constructor. This is going to have two parameters. So look back in your notes. How do we, use a comma to separate these and declare a method with two parameters? So we're going to want two parameters here. Now we have two methods here: get name and set name. These are actually done as examples. So in this get name, just returns the name variable, which is up here. Set name, we specify a name and we return this. Now remember, we talked about there's two ways of doing these methods. This is one, and here's another one. We could say new name and say so either of these methods will work. I just have to do one. So if you use a parameter, an argument here, name, that's the same name as this instance variable, you have to use this.name here to make sure you're referring to this name up here on the left side of the assignment. So sometimes I find students have this kind of complicated. This was in here because I got this example from another area, and they're using this notation. So see, if you want, you can change and look at this. Set name, we pass in string new name, and then we just set name equal to the new name that's passed in. So either one of these will work fine. I'm just going to get rid of one, leave one here. So either one of these will work, and it works. The original one works now. Now this is what you have to do. You have to do a get address and a set address. So very similar to the get name and set name, you have to do those. So define those here. Again, get address will return the address location as a string. Set address will have one parameter, the address, as a string. So similar to set name and get name here, one returns a string and one has a parameter that's a string. Now you also want to do, there's some more methods here: get latitude, get longitude, and set location. And read what these do. So get latitude should return the location as a double. Get longitude should return the location's longitude as a double. So they, again, very similar to the other get methods up here. And they should just return the latitude and longitude. The last one is a little set. We're going to actually combine. We're not going to have one set latitude and set longitude. We're going to have set location. It's going to have two parameters, the latitude and the longitude. So we want you to find a set location that's, and the two, we provide two parameters here, and set the longitude and latitude with that. Finally, add a two-string variable method that should just display the address as some location. So let's see how we're doing. Try to compile. There'll be errors if you try to compile it. The geolocation class is missing, and you must define that. Inside the geolocation, read the comments describing the missing methods and define these to compile the project. Test out the project and run the main method in the user interface, and you should see something like the following. And again, here's our two-string method. What we're printing out, and actually you can define any sort of two-string method here that just prints out. Maybe you just want to print out the name and the address, or just print out the name. And again, not print it out, return it. And again, look at the dice class from the other one for an example of a two-string method. So hopefully you can get this running. Here's a completed version of it. So if I compile this, it should all compile. Now to get this to work, test it out, I'm going to create a new user interface instance, and then from that I'm just going to call the main. Oh, I did that wrong. Sorry, I don't need to create a new interface. I just want to run the main method right from that. And search for something on the map, and I'm going to search for Saint Scholastica. Wait a second for it to do a search for Google Maps, and found Saint Scholastica. Apparently there's a Saint Scholastica in Pittsburgh. Okay, so let's try that again. Again, run main, hit OK, and I can hit Saint Scholastica, Minnesota. How about? And now it should find the college of Saint. And again, you can search for just about anything, just like you could in Google Maps here. If you search, we're not handling errors very well, so if I search for something that doesn't exist, I will get an error. So let's just try that. So if I search for something, Saint, let's say we searching for something and we're spelling it wrong, still found Saint Scholastica. Let's try that again. Okay, so let's try see if I can get an error here. So I'm going to search for some nonsense word, and yeah, I'll get an error here that'll say a null exception, null pointer error. Let's see if I can get that on the screen. Null pointer error. That means I didn't find anything. I didn't handle that thing because again, we don't know how to handle exceptions very well yet, so we won't. I'm going to worry about that. So normally you should be able to find stuff. Now another thing you can do is run this test plan. We mentioned that in the thing. There's a test plan for your thing. So if you want to, you can hit run tests, and you should see all green checks if you're setting everything right. It should test the address, set the address and get the address, set the name, and test location and test the constructors. The one constructor, make sure those all work. So you should get all green checks there if you run the tests. Okay, so that's what you're working on. Just modify geolocation, add those things. You look at your dice class as a good example of an object with constructors and setters or getters for this. Okay, and again, here's a sample of your printout. Good luck.